Greetings and welcome to the pod. My name is Mark West. Do you have a bag full of used swimming caps? Swimming caps are a large source of ocean swimming waste. Often only used once, destined for landfill or the ocean itself, ocean swimming events have not got a handle on how to appropriately use them. And despite popular belief, they do not break down in the environment in any useful time frame. There are important facets of ocean swimming safety so that swimmers can be seen in the water and in their racing waves. But at the end of each season, even mediocre swimmers like myself end up with a bag full of caps, never to be used again. So what can you do? I've been collecting caps for Recap over the last few summers to give them to good causes, and one of the places they go is Reverse Garbage, an organisation that saves materials from landfill and renews their value by making them available for reuse by families, students, artists and community groups. Each year they take about 35,000 cubic metres of waste for reuse, saving tons of raw material, energy and emissions. I spoke with Kirsten Junor, Creative Director at Reverse Garbage, about what she does with the caps, what Reverse Garbage does in general, interspersed with all sorts of reuse recycle discussion. We recorded in the pub, surely the best way to spend an afternoon recording a podcast, so occasionally the sound quality dips. I started by asking Kirsten, what is it that Reverse Garbage does?
Reverse Garbage is a Sydney institution, a unique Sydney institution, I would say. It's been going for over 44 years. Started by a group of teachers that could see that there was just so much stuff going to landfill that could be used within the classroom as resources for teaching aids, craft, free play, all these words that kind of didn't exist 45 years ago. They were kind of doing sustainable before there was that, word. That was a thing. And Marrickville was different too, because there was a lot more light industry, so they were able to pick stuff up close by. But, it soon became an institution, and so much so that it's intergenerational now. So I have people that come in and say, I used to come here with my mum as a kid, or I used to come here, my mum was a teacher, my dad was a teacher, and they'd bring me here, or and that is just joyous. I always say that I've been shopping there since I was 10, and now I'm working here. Yeah. And it's unique on so many levels. I got ticked up on Facebook for using the word unique the other day, but anyway, I'm still using it. It's special. So not only are we saving resources from going to landfill so that they can be reused, we manage to teach kids about environmental issues and reuse before recycling. We are able to help community groups with buying, keeping their lean budgets on target, as it were, so we can offer really cheap resources for them. Film and television, we're cheaper than renting, so people will come in the day before a shoot and then borrow something overnight and then return it the next day, so we keep that circular economy going in some weird place. So it's just, so not only are the resources that get donated to us daily, hourly, different and special, the customer base is, as it's just wonderful. It's Marrickville, but it's a destination too. People come from a long way away to go to Reverse Garbage.
And you're the creative director.
I know, that's a weird term. Well, I work there really.
What does a creative director do?
Oh, well, before I was employed as the retail manager. So I think, what do? I say yes or no to things, because we are capacity driven, so I can't say yes to everything, which pains me sometimes. But so what comes in, how much it goes out for, tracking those unique things have a value. So I think that's part of my role, is making sure, because as a not-for-profit we need to make money. that's not a bad thing, so that we can keep going and doing exactly, so that we can keep going on as what we do. So yeah, pricing and styling, and just keeping the place ticking over, really.
And so you've said yes to swimming caps many
I
times.
have.
Hundreds of swimming caps.
Yes, thousands potentially.
What do you do with them?
What do we do with them? Well, we sell them for the obvious reuse. Put them on your head, do some laps. Take a sip of beer. Then, if you cut them across ways, you end up with really big elastic bands. If you cut them in half and put them over something, and then put one of those big elastic bands around them, like a cup or a ice cream container or something, then they become a drum. So our our education team love them because they are just, colour and movement that leads on to teaching other things like STEM, so there's the physics involved in using a drum and making a drum and sound and that sort of thing. So they do get reused. And the other thing that amazes me about reverse garbage is that you think something has only one or two uses, but someone will come in and make something totally random. One that always, the other thing I've done with them is filled them with potting mix and put succulents in them and use them as pot plants. And that was cool. And because they're amazing colours. That's the other thing about swimming caps, is that, the ones that you've been bringing us are amazing colours, and that's something that with industrial discards, quite often they're not. We get a lot of white and black and boring colours. So to be able to inject some nice, bright, bouncy material into something is great.
So, do you think swimming caps bring people joy? Should they be keeping them or decluttering with them?
You should keep it and use it till it ain't got no more use. Yes, I have an issue with those sort of things, as we have discussed before, the trophy for just turning up. I would love that if the joy of being in a race is the swimming and the sponsoring or whatever you initially thought you were going to do, rather than getting that medal, or just it's just so unnecessary and so frustrating, and
That's the thing about reverse garbage. Reuse is great, but
let's
maybe
slow.
not using
Our
it
ultimate goal would be to go out of business.
Right.
That's the thing. Let's
The circular economy takes care of itself.
Yes, but things just aren't produced that have that single use, and it's not just single use plastic bags, which is having an amazing, and I think the whole thing about single use plastic is heightening people's awareness of what has been a problem for a long time, and that just hasn't had that public awareness and social campaigns behind them, that's now bringing them, that is making people think. And I hope it really is making people think about their choices. That, don't really look at an item before you buy it. Well, I was only saying to Fiona today, we haven't had many coffins donated recently.
I wasn't expecting that.
No, we've had, and then
you say recently, so you have in the past.
We have had. We still haven't, while I've been there, which is nearly 4 years working. I haven't had any. I'm waiting for fake eyes to come in. We get lots of denture moulds. They sell quite well.
It's probably best not to ask how.
What?
Denture moulds.
Well, no, but when you go and get your teeth moulded, they do that plaster cast mould,
Then they're done.
and then they're done. They're so we get bowls of those, and for some reason people love them. Technology is interesting. I'm having a lot more people ring up about cassette tapes lately.
Have they got some hipster value or something?
Yes, records obviously, but it's intriguing when kids just come in and they go, "What's this?" And it's like, well, I can totally date you and your parents by the fact that you've got no disc.
Yeah.
Well, I'm even thinking for pianola rolls. People used to have to pedal to make music. So we've had pianola rolls when they come in. I don't get newspapers anymore. So people come in saying, "Have you got any newspaper? I want to make a piñata."
Right.
We don't have newspapers anymore, so they don't get donated because no one's really buying them. It's mostly, we get a lot of negatives of things. So if a manufacturer's made, they want the circle, we get the series of no circles. And people use them for art, or I don't know what people use stuff for. We have just started measuring how much we take in per week, and we reckon we're diverting from landfill about 5 tonnes a week. And that's just one little reverse garbage in a 100-year-old army hut in Sydney. We have I think cities and towns have the potential to divert a lot more from landfill. And when I was talking about teachers starting reverse garbage 44 years ago, it is still very much what we're focused on, and we have a great team of educators that go out to schools and festivals, and always with that message of reduce, reuse, recycle. We've we've added another and that's refuse before reduce. So just really think about what you're buying. And we also educate educators, because they have that greater power. As a parent, you've got 1, 3, however many kids, they only get to touch on those, whereas educators get to talk to so many more children. So we have PD, personal development training, professional development, where we teach teachers about using reused resources, not just going straight to the catalogue and buying So there's a big thing about loose parts play, that whole thing about where the box is a lot more interesting and so much more fun than the toy. And that's where reverse garbage is brilliant, because we get these weird things that you just can't get in a catalogue, and it's going to make, and we have teachers that really get it and are in all the time, and then others that walk in and kind of go, "This is just rubbish." And then, well, no, it's not. You've got to start looking at things differently, and you place this, this pile of barrels and spools and City of Sydney banners and stuff, and the things that the kids create, and then the next day it's different.
Yep.
And we'd shove it all back in the barrel and then get it out tomorrow, and it's like Lego used to be. It wasn't you had to make this. And that's another big message, is only take what you need. That's a big message when we go out to schools, is, take what you need, use only what you need, and then share. Don't get me started on those reusable cups. Bloody hell.
Are you not
Stop.
a fan?
No. Well, I am a fan, but stop selling them. We had enough ugly mugs. We had enough mugs. There are enough. Just.
I won't show you the 2 keep cups in my bag.
Yeah, but see, and my daughter and I had this argument about, "Oh, Mum, you're always so cranky." Yeah, I am, but I don't like it when a market is created out of some sort of problem. Actually, the problem was really probably never there, and
we all own cups anyway.
We all own cups and mugs anyway. So that whole thing of, and it is hopefully again slowly people's mentality is changing, that we already had mugs in our cupboard or whatever, or sit down and enjoy the coffee where you are, use the mug, get it washed, take a mug, walk slowly. I don't know what the solution is, but don't keep making more plastic shit that can be reused. There's a lot of things we don't need.
Yeah.
And people keep creating stuff for the sake of it. Because people are naturally creative and want to make stuff or design or express themselves. So I wouldn't like to be someone going to uni now who's a product or an industrial designer, because there's a whole different... If I had my extreme way, it'd be stop production, there's enough stuff.
Yep.
But technology's changing, so we need a new iPhone every however many months, or the cameras get better, so I must have the new one, and you just shove it in the bottom drawer, or we don't repair things. Have you ever looked up the repair manifesto? I would rather see them say, BYO swimming cap. Do you really need one? Then we'll give you one, maybe from last year's or something. How great is that? You're reusing, and, or if you're bringing your own and you want to donate $1 to reverse garbage or some worthwhile environmental charity, do that instead. So I think, and that would be my dream.
Yeah.
That there is going to be no caps and trophies given out at fun runs, soccer matches. Oh my God, the number of trophies. But there are lots of medals, there are lots of trophies, ribbons, that sort of thing. But people buy them and spray paint them and give them out at offices, dues and things like that. But that's only a drop in the ocean, pardon the pun, of what is actually sitting gathering dust on shelves across Sydney, New South Wales, Australia. That's a big philosophical question for a Monday afternoon, isn't it, at the pub? I think things are changing slowly. I do get slightly depressed when you're driving around and listening to the radio about how fast climate change is. What depresses me is the inaction of politicians. What impresses me is what the general public are prepared to do. So if politicians would just insert swear word here, pull their finger out and stand up for something rather than playing politics, I think, and really look at the facts and just actually stand for something without thinking long term. So much politics, I feel, at the moment is short-term gain rather than long-term foresight.
I found ocean swimmers from Greens, Labor and Liberal, so there's a way in.
There is a way in. Excellent. They're out there swimming in this stuff and looking at the bottom of oceans, so they should be all over it, and really standing up, because I haven't seen a slowdown in waste. And there will always be waste. There always has been, there always will be. So I think if we can just start looking at it in a different way and putting it and extending the life of every item that exists and will exist on this planet, I think that's the most important thing.
And you are an ocean swimmer?
No! I like to swim in the ocean, I do. I like the pools, I do. I am, yes. I have done winter swimming. I intend to do more. I'm going to get a wetsuit. But then I keep thinking, they're made from plastics. Funny you should say that. I just had some donated today. They do make the good basis of a costume, so you can sew into them. Which leads me to another point. So one of the good stories about that since I've been at Reverse Garbage about reuse and that circular thing was I just had this donation of stuff, and within that was a Roman-esque style helmet which had brooms literally down the centre as the bristles or whatever. And I just put it on a dummy, a mannequin, and this guy walked past and went, "Oh my gosh, I designed that for a theatre production show I did however many years ago."
Awesome.
And he was standing there and said, "That's unbelievable. What are the chances that it gets donated today? I'm walking past and see you put it out." Anyway, within 2 hours he'd sent me the original photos of it on stage and his original costume drawings. They're the good stories. I had just last year we did an event called Community Craft Challenge, and that was an all ages, all abilities exhibition that we put on at the gallery at Addison Road. And the only prerequisite was that you had to have made it out of reused materials, and then we had an art, an opening and the exhibition, and it was great because kids that, don't normally see their stuff in a gallery came along, and we had, professional artists entering their stuff. So there was this really nice range but it all worked. And on the winner, she did this most amazing thing. You would love it because it's all about the ocean and rock pools and stuff. She created around a milk crate and made all these. I'll send you the link. She was in, and someone whose mother used to shop at Reverse Garbage 40 years ago had recently passed, and she'd been redonating stuff that she'd bought from Reverse Garbage that day. And then the girl that had won the competition was standing there with the roller stuff, and we introduced them. So the stories and the therapy sometimes that goes behind some of the donations and things is another. I wish, and stuff comes with a story, and I wish we had sometimes this time to slow down and record more of what actually happens at Reverse Garbage, and the stories and the stuff that's coming through, because some of it's pretty unique. A guy turned up the other day and he'd put me in these bad books because he'd driven up onto our garden, and I went, so I was cranky to start with. And then I said, "Look, do you mind just going up to our loading dock, blah-de-blah?" And he said, "That's fine." So we got up there. By the end of the donation, it was like, "Oh, my wife has just died and this is all her wool." And I went, "Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that," and this, that and the other. And I said, "Did you, have you got beautiful jumpers that she made from?" She said, "Yes, I've got one. She knitted me one a year." And I said, "Well, isn't that so yes, so I'm about to cry now, but sometimes it's just like, that." And so then that's another little part of my role as well. Thank you so much for donating. Things are going to get reused. It's not being chucked into landfill. It's getting a second life. And thank you for taking the time to think about us and bring it to us so that its life is extended, and all that collection that your wife has not gone. So I always think that it's kind of like it's a cross between utopia and Parks and Recreation. Marie Kondo, yes. She has a Netflix series. Why can't we have a Netflix series about how to reuse rather than toss out? How to reuse the joylessness items in the world. I think that's a bit sad. Does it bring you joy? It must have at some stage. I'm a maker from a long time ago, and I did a course.
Makerspace vogue.
Yeah, that's right. And so I make like the skirt and the top. This was an old tablecloth. So I have sewn for a long time. I make stuff. I like old stuff. Where was this going? Oh yes, so I was at a course recently, and the whole conversation came up about your past or why you're here, whatever, and I started writing down what I've actually done in my career. And I've done a few different things, but inherently what I discovered was that all of them involved reuse, but I hadn't realised it.
Right.
So I worked, except for one early career, but we'll ignore that. But then I went to NIDA and I did costume making, and while I was there you had to be incredibly creative because you were creating shows on no budget. So it was like turning a 1970s suit, because it was the right colour, to look like it was worn in the 1940s. So changing the collar shape but making it fit, and so that, and you'd be scavenging around all the op shops looking for stuff to make your costumes. And then I worked at a costume house, so that again it was the same thing, that things, you'd take it up, take it down, let it out, bring it in. Then I had my own business, but we were screen printing, but we were always trying to find ways of using different base cloths, or not buying new, overprinting onto different things. So we were always looking for use things that we could overprint onto. And then I left that because you need money. Running your own business does.
So you're into a non-profit.
Yeah, but the first not-for-profit that I worked for was Dress for Success. So they are, getting clothes donated to them to give to women so that they can wear them to job interviews, so that they're more successful. If they don't have something in their wardrobe they can wear to the interview. So we were getting all those clothes donated and reusing them, and now I'm at Reverse Garbage. So, and in my personal life I'm always, trying to reuse, repair, not buy new. So it was really interesting to think that kind of I haven't consciously been doing it, but it just is just this thing that I've been doing, and now I'm here trying to advocate for it as well.
So did you go to NIDA as an actor, or straight into costume?
No, I don't act, which is what we all used to say NIDA actually stood for, because with the don't act. No, I did costume making, so theatre crafts it was called then. So, one of them is the production designer for Game of Thrones.
There you go.
That's pretty big.
Yep. So do the production companies come to Reverse Garbage when they film in Australia?
The buyers that know, and I can usually pick them. I go, what film are you buying it for? And they like to come in incognito, and it's like I can pick them. So it's like, But it's good to get to know them, because I can say, right, what are you filming? What are you doing? Look, we've got this. I know this is coming in. I do like rummaging through people's bins. There you go. So when we turn up to somewhere, it's always, what are you throwing out, rather than what you think you called me for. People should be making. Have you heard that thing about surgeons in the UK, the youth of today? Listen to me getting like an old cranky mother. Yes, the youth of today, they can't use their hands, they can't stitch, they can't sew anymore, because they're all been doing this, she says, moving her thumbs like she's texting. When I'm with kids, I see them that they can't cut. So there's this whole, but you're a bit older than kids today. So there is this thing of that creating and using your hands, I think, generally needs to come back if we're going to survive. And oh God, don't get me started on that. I find that the undervaluation of music and arts and craft in Australia just gives me the absolute, that it's just not valued. And they're so inherent to creativity and opening up your mind, and just that, that we value, and, sportsmen and women, but just that we need to start valuing artists, crafters, words, people that use their hands, and it just... I don't have the words, but it just drives me nuts when I can't see. There's a huge disparity, and if you can use your hands, and just the difference between writing something down or putting it, or typing it. I think there's a loss of personality. I'm just a big fan of making, of just doing stuff from the beginning. Like, don't buy the cake mix. You can start at the very beginning with no difference. With no difference. That, just draw it, make it, try it out. And the other thing, just, you're not going to get it first go. You've got to keep trying and trying over and over. You know, things used to take time. So this whole invention of knitting slows you down. I love a good knit. Commuter craft means sewing on a train, really. Stitching or knitting on a train.
Yeah.
So take things to watch, you know, sit by and repair. Visible mending, that's my favourite. Put a hole in your jeans, put that patch on the outside. Don't try to hide it. Make it a design decision. Don't be afraid to be an individual, you know, wear what you've made. And I invented a word, blandadizing. So everything's becoming very bland and everyone wants to look the same or follow the same thing. So this is getting a bit off topic now, isn't it? So that whole thing of, you know, when you see something on Instagram and then you go there and you think, I've already seen it. There's no surprises really. So we just stop looking at our phones so much. Oh, don't get me started on that one. Because I worked in the rag trade for a while. When designs were hand painted, the artwork was hand painted, and then each colourway had to be hand painted. And now it's all done on computer. And you can really tell the difference between a hand painted design, and which kind of gets back to what I was talking about, of that use of the hand, rather than everything being so computer generated or looking very... It does. And now I think there's that whole thing of just everything does look similar. And all the big brands are in every country, so if you're lucky enough to travel, you get somewhere and you go, I've seen that. It's the same formula. And that's a bit depressing. It takes the uniqueness out of, or the specialness. Stop using that word. The reason why you wanted to go somewhere different. There's no discovery.
Thank you for joining us on another edition of The Pod, or as I should probably call it this week, The Pub. Thanks for the beers, Kirsten. That was a really interesting chat. If you'd like any more information on reverse garbage, on recap, on Kirsten's work, or anything you heard in this podcast, including the songs used, get over to the website at www.thepodpodcast.net. That's www.thepodpodcast.net. Hope you're enjoying your summer if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, or your winter if you're in the North. I'll catch you next time on The Pod.